That will happen. That will happen when you have the long rest that precedes this.
Oh no.
Hi, Trin.
I need dice. That's good for you, so.
Hey, Trin. How are you?
I'm alright, thank you. How about
It's not
yourself?
like the DM sent you dice trays and dice bags.
Right? My dice are currently in my dice tray.
Huh?
Do you want this or do you want your...
At the moment you can brush up. Because I won't be.
Oh.
And this one is, stressing me out now.
I'm gonna write some dice.
Oh, so we made it into whatever it was for the person.
Yep. Yeah, so now that you've received them, have you used them for anything?
Nope, I'm saving them for this campaign. I have not also played campaign D&D since they've arrived.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's
You,
been a
you
hot
must
minute.
you must be starved. Just imagine her just sort of knocking on Trin's door in the middle of the night. Like, I need to play D&D.
I'm so glad. This week's a 2-session D&D week. Makes me happy.
Well, only 2.
Imagine.
2 out of 3.
So what's the other campaign?
As a Strad.
Okay.
We wouldn't know anything about that, would we, Matt?
No. Not in the least.
But I don't think we're getting McKellar because I think who's in hospital.
Yeah, McKay's apparently still in hospital, so
I hope he's alright.
Yeah, I hope so.
I did ask him, but he's not answered.
Well, since he hasn't sort of like mentioned it before now, I'm assuming it's not so serious that
That he's dying.
yeah. So,
He failed his dexterity saving throw at his concert. He's broken his ankle or something. That's stupid about that.
Oh god.
or he's pregnant.
Oh, that would be
What's
impressive.
Frank done?
Okay, I hope you're recording this so we can play the segment to McKellar.
Oh yeah. But don't worry. In terms of what Frank has done, it's actually quite mild. So
No, it's more what we let everyone else do.
yeah. It's more along the lines of what you guys have done as opposed to what Frank's done.
Blame us, of course.
So is everyone ready?
Yeah.
All right. So
Wait, why am I at the head of the table?
you're at one side of the table.
Okay, I look like I was at the head of the table. I'm like, is that a good idea?
Well, I've just simply put you in
That's fine.
in the chairs that were just available. So if you guys want to swap, then feel free.
That's fine.
But David, seeing as you were the note taker and did not lose your notes at any point during your note taking sessions, do you want to fill in Charlotte as to what has been happening over the last couple of weeks?
I mean, that's precisely what happened. I really don't really mention that now. If I miss anything, I'll give you all of the notes that I have. All right.
Oh god, hang on. Let me open up a note.
It is not going to be enough for you to write down. Mine are very much one line.
He lost his notes.
Mostly,
Nope, I'm ready.
almost entirely for like shock value. All right. So we'll go all the way back to when you left. I can't remember when you were last year.
It was when you guys were ambushed by the Celts. I think that was the last time you were with us. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was that after we took the boat?
Yes.
Oh,
and
okay,
and there was
so
Docker's apology and everything.
So you're aware? Oh, right. Okay. So we've done Docker's apology and stuff. Okay, that's fine. Right. So where? So I've got a whole session missing, but after I had a whole
Great,
thing where
that's great.
I had a whole thing where like my shit just disappeared. My whole like PC died.
Love that for you.
I'm so lost as to where. Like, I really wish I was more organised. Right. So we made it to New Asgard. Not New Asgard. Yes, New Asgard.
Yep. That's Garth. Yep.
Were you there for the Inquisition telling us that there's a traitor in Orange?
Well, specifically telling Kashan, and he has.
Yeah, so I haven't yet. No, I haven't had a chance to tell that to people yet. Okay, never mind. We'll get to that.
Huh?
That's a thing.
Sorry, let me just write that down. There is an imposter among us.
Yes, exactly. In those exact words.
Sounds sus, doesn't it?
No.
Okay.
Wait, that's not how it goes.
Okay, and he's also. Shall we try and cover what happened during the Celtic battle? Because there's something very specific that's happened to Morella during this point. If you remember.
Oh yeah. Okay. So you got attacked, and then a black smoky rope basically hung the person, seemingly from your body.
Silence.
Ghost rope.
Ah.
The ghost rope came from your body.
Yeah, ghost rope.
I like how you forgot that. That was important.
So that's part of the notes that I'm missing. Alright, it was in there. It read something along the lines of Marilla done a smoky strangle. What the fuck?
You strangle.
You basically did a docker. You took a docker demon moment.
Ah.
So you did that. My dream, following, prior to that, summoned a tooth that are roughly the size of a rapier, so I've got a very big tooth in my inventory. Anyway, so we finished the battle, we got a new Asgard.
Hi, guys.
Oh, hey.
There.
How are you?
Oh, I haven't come.
Hello.
You okay? We were a bit worried about you.
Oh no, thank you. I'm okay. It's actually my brother is at the hospital, but it's fine.
Oh, okay.
What did I miss?
We're just doing a recap.
Nothing, I'm just sort of filling in Marilla.
We told Miranda about ghost rope.
Yeah.
Aha. Please carry on.
Yeah, so Ghost Rope occurred. Smoky Strangle. We then made a new Asgard. We had to get 2 people to vouch us, veterans to the thing. That's not a mistake of not remembering what it's called. It's called the thing. The place we're in, the thing.
Yeah.
It's a new Asagarth looks like this.
Big building, that's the thing.
The longhouse.
I love how descriptive you are about this
No,
big house. That's where it is.
The people who inhabit
That's-
the land
that's-
called
that's
it
what
the
it's
thing.
called.
They
This
didn't
year-
even have
this
it,
year
they
is called
it
the thing.
The thing. Thank you. So descriptive. Thank you.
It is called the thing. We found 2 different people that would vouch for us. A seamstress who made a rug from a lizard rug from Gordon. We also found a dragonfire wine maker who I gave some of my blood to. We
A lot of your blood too.
realized we realized that everyone in this place loves Padwin.
Good.
We renewed our alliance with a headbutt, and we are now at a feast which we've been told will be bloody, terrible, and feared by the gods. Also, I want to build on a farm, but that was.
And Trent is objected.
It's just not the right time, you know?
However, feared by the dogs, not the gods.
I mean, I suppose it's the same.
we could have hired farmhands, alright? We didn't have to be hands-on.
Let's just sort this out first, and then we can talk about that, okay?
I don't think now is the time to retire.
I don't think that answers why
I'm not
Miranda's
looking
got
to
some
retire,
weird
I'm looking to
hit
save
points
for pension. This is an investment opportunity. But okay.
Okay, so now that you're 100% caught up to speed, and there's no chance for misinformation at all,
Of course not.
Do you want to tell everybody about your... Not the dream that you've just... That's yet to come, but the one before that.
Awesome.
So that your last one that you just done with Matt, the one you did the other week.
You'll have to give me a second. I have the biggest mouthful of pasta.
Clearly.
Pasta is way important, man. Just depends what's with the pasta.
Cheese and sausages.
Maya would approve.
So do I, actually. Does David approve of this tomato pasta?
Yeah.
So which dream?
My tomato pasta would have gone a lot better with some sausage in there. I just don't have any sausages in there.
Which dream? The one that...
Not your most recent one, the one prior, I assume.
I think Matt's looking for the beginning of the combo.
The one where he is just sitting at around the fire, and he basically told you.
Was that when we
Gabriel-
had the really long conversation with
Yes.
like big messages?
Yes.
Okay.
Pardon me, sorry. Yes, but...
Okay. I have this friend. I'm not saying this in a character apparently, but I have this friend in this cool dream world. And I filled them in about how we've got like information that we're all here and stuff. And that none of us will ever. Oh my god, I can't speak. None of you guys will ever meet my friend. And that they will be the only friendly face I see. The others are all servants of the Count, though. They won't bear you any ill. They will seek to elongate the Count's game. The best you and your friends can do is reach the Count in his castle. But do not rush to meet him. For if you face him and not prepared, you will never leave this place. Which is not foreboding at all.
Fun.
That's fine, I can go back to jumping off the cliff a few times.
So I was like, this is so strange. I explained how this situation we think came to be, and I asked if he had met this man he seems to be about. The Count collects magical items from the adventurers he slays and puts them in the shop. The man sells them to adventurers for a fraction of their worth. The Count uses the money they give to aid in his scrying spell, which he then uses on anyone in the group. If he finds them interesting, he brings them here. He gives them gifts to stay. If they refuse too often, his hold on them loosens, but their dream minds remain trapped there. So the only way we can leave is if we fight this guy in this castle and in real life.
I told you
Right.
the shopkeeper was sus.
And no, we also need to keep entertaining him so he doesn't become vengeful and try to hurt us.
I got some questions, because if this guy reckons he's getting gifts, he ain't seen that I've been dealing with in my dreams.
I told you he was dodgy. I'm assuming she said it at the dinner table, so I was just going to stand up and shout this at Morena across the table.
just brandishing this drumstick at her.
I told you!
Well, yes, I know, but
No one listens to the lizard.
I listen to you, Gordon. I do, but
Only when I threaten
Find
with a
it.
drumstick. And I
Find it a little bit
back
odd.
so everyone eat my drumstick.
So yeah,
Oh.
so he basically explained the mystery of the shop to Morela.
Okay.
The
Oh,
shop
yeah.
that I tried turning upside down because I knew there was something wrong with it. And no, I'm just a horrible person because he's a very nice person. He's generous and gives you good stuff.
Well, no one gives you nothing for nothing, isn't it? Right.
You weren't there, so you're excused.
Well, it sounds like I'm trapped with you anyway. So
Yeah, but you weren't there to see him.
Welcome to the group. You got nothing for it.
I didn't buy anything at the shop, so I got nothing to tempt him anyway. I just sent Frank down the little hole.
The very small hole. Okay, and so like as the wake-up moment for this particular dream, the guy Sasha also hinted that you guys have a red-haired friend who is already at...
Was it a head? That was right, yeah.
The red-haired friend.
A red hair friend. Who's got red hair? Is that you, Kashan?
I don't have hair.
It's got
Katie has
scales.
red hair.
I have a beard.
Who's got red hair?
Katie has red hair.
Who?
Katie
Katie!
has red hair.
Oh my god.
Padwin?
Katie has red hair. Katie is Padwin's mother. She has red hair.
The alpha who went into the shop with you.
Oh my god, we haven't. Oh my god, we might need to use the sending stone. Katie.
I'm just like banging my head on the table at this point. You know what? One day I'm going to let them go on an adventure without me and see what. Yeah.
Okay, the reason I forgot about Katie is because I was looking at who is currently on screen and I was looking at just those guys.
That is
I think
fair.
that's
Katie is
fair
awesome.
enough.
What is this?
Okay,
Oh,
So,
that's
but-
a nice feast.
so that dream happened whenever you took a long rest after burning the forest down.
Yay!
But so we'll just simply say, for the sake of argument, that she explained that on that night. Well, she was in NPC mode and calling everyone an adventurer.
Hello, adventurer.
Yep, that's exactly how it was.
It's weird that you and Matt match the same tone.
Hello, adventurer. Trin
They've watched the
filled
same
me in
video
briefly,
too
but that's
many
what I
times.
said.
Or they've planned this.
I would see both. I'd accept. I could understand and accept both. I wouldn't even question it.
So, but basically, the crux of everyone else's dream, Torden blew herself up. But
Wonderful.
Trin, you the dream that she was on, you were still trying to find your trapdoor, weren't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it.
But
I was in the fight with the giant bat thing.
yep. And McKelly, you were talking to Batman, weren't you?
Yeah.
Wait,
Who's
let
the
me
way-
write that. Then that's my notes. No, that's not your name. I mean, it is your name, but it's not your D&D name.
Barracus.
Thank you.
Yes, he spoke to a talking bat who called himself Wayne the Bruce.
Win the Bruce. Love
And basically, yeah, he told me as well, literally what you explained, that the mist is kind of alive, and it feels like that it's connected to what you just said. It will attack us and send us back as soon as the mist or the Baron it gets bored. Understood. There also is a motherfucking vampire, and it's not gonna be easy to actually get out of these games that we are having within and the dreams.
Man, I'm so excited for this. This is going to be hilarious.
I am excited.
Well, it's either going to be really exciting or it's just going to be like a complete pitfall that built up the hype too much.
Oh no, it's
I'm so excited. In my Curse of Strahd group, I'm like, guys, this is what's happening, guys.
Okay, so you basically discussed this when you were in the forest together, and you then spent the contents of last session doing stuff around the village, and which has basically resulted with you guys coming into the Lord's Hall. But
Yeah.
the Lord for Charlotte is this guy.
You're the Elder.
Oh, we also met Herox brother.
Yo.
This guy.
Georgie.
I've lost Hirok's wife, bear with me. Here we are. Yeah, this is Hirok's wife. And then he has, like all of the other kings and lords that you've met so far, a high elf advisor.
This is a man.
I take so many rapid notes right now. Ah.
All the rest have been women. This one's a man.
Yep.
He don't
And
seem quite into women.
and then a mage of wit advisor as well.
Or is that the woman?
Yeah, so far all of the mages that you've
That's
met
it.
have been women. But so far the high elf advisors that you've met have,
I got the
Also,
wit guys
have-
and the met elf made of work.
well, you're still on the same track. They've also been women, it's just that hasn't been sort of like the point of them. But there was a document that George gave you whenever you were travelling. That's entitled Hirok's Family Tree, or something like that. Hirok Family. That has all of the details of the members of the family and the nobles, and the alphas as well. So you can go through that if you need to make notes.
Okay.
Okay, so it's sort of like late afternoon, early evening by the time that you arrive in the hall, and it's very much just like this. It's like a big open area with the thrones at one side, and then there's a sort of like back room, which is very much like the Lord's chambers. But he has given you access to these chambers over the course of the thing, in the event that you want to wash and dress appropriately for the feast.
Let me get my cleanest robes out.
Toldum, are you having a bath in the sand outside?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's only one bathtub, so you guys will have to.
I'm having a sand bath.
Yep. So the rest of you will need to sort of go in shifts, as it were.
That's fine.
Second wave.
I'd like to go last.
I don't mind when I go.
Yeah.
So long as I can be clean, sounds great to me.
Now the question is, are any of you going to do the Witcher pose when you bathe?
Absolutely.
Is there another way to bathe?
Okay, so the thing basically carries on for a good sort of few hours after this, so you have plenty of time to sort of organise.
We're still supposed to be in the banquet now. Map.
Sorry?
We're supposed to be on the banquet now.
Yes. So after a while, you just simply hear in a very booming voice, Hirok's just suddenly shouting, "Oh, to hell with this! Let's feast!"
Oh yeah. I know this.
My G.
I thought we were already been eating.
Okay, so over the course of you sort of getting ready and bathing and stuff, servants have been coming in and have been taking like this big open area and setting up tables, benches, in the middle and then all along the outer edges and stuff. Like before, I haven't filled up the map simply because it would take forever to load. But if you just imagine this place is packed with people, like all of the places on benches are filled up, and there's people milling around, standing up. There's groups. There's a troupe of musicians who have come in. So for Charlotte, if you want to put on some like banquet music or something. But you also notice, as like the crowds start coming in, you see another person who bears a resemblance to the Hirok that you have known. This guy. And also, another, far more younger dwarf comes over to you. He's basically just dressed up in this very thick cotton armor, and it basically shows just how overweight this guy is in comparison to like the bulky largeness that is normally associated with dwarves. He basically comes over to you and is like, I hope you have found everything to your liking.
Indeed, thank you.
Excellent. Well, my uncle has stated that you are to be seated at the top of the table with the other alphas and the other advisors. So please, and he gestures to the table, please take your places.
Very well.
Yeah, I'll comply.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you guys happy with this table layout, or do you want to swap seats at all?
No, I'm happy.
I'm conscious. I'm gonna write it down.
Who's who's sat next to me?
The elven advisor, the steward.
Okay.
The guy that Kashan wants to talk to about the farm. Hint, hint.
Look, no, I've already been told off.
You're allowed to discuss it, just don't make any solid plans without discussing with the rest of the group after this big event, okay? So you can plan things in advance, make your reservations.
This goes one of two ways. I told you the guy, right?
Yeah.
Trin, we've had the discussion. It's okay. We get it. Alright? I'm
I
behaving.
guess.
I'm on my best behaviour. I don't have a docker bad influence no more.
And then you just hear him talking to himself. He's like, if only I could find a buyer for that ship that I've been putting aside. Hmm.
Oh no. I think it's a hint at this point. You have permission to talk to him.
You just climb onto the table.
Some forum.
Yeah.
I moved my chair.
So it's like
I'm sorry.
there's this general hubbub about the hall, and it's just interrupted by the screeching noise of the chair being dragged along.
No. Look, I'm not a small guy. I'll pick it up and carry the chair.
Oh no.
But it is not it. While it doesn't make any actual noise, people can see that it's happening. Also, I don't put it down gently.
Boom!
This place echoes a bit, eh?
Yes, I can hear myself talk 3 times. Hello, hello, hello.
Obviously, it's a bunch of like dwarves at the other end shouting hello back, thinking they're being spoken to by Padwin, the great powerful Padwin.
I turn to check if Padman is a high girl at this point, just out of sheer.
I'm not allowed to transform until we secure the alliance. Daddy's told me. He just bows his head really sadly.
Very good, Padman.
At this point, you guys are all still wearing your headbands as well.
But we're supposed to?
Yes. Yep. Okay. So the elf turns to you and is like, a dragonborn with a beard. I've never seen such a thing. And yet, you fascinate me, friend.
If you think that's fascinating, you should see what's inside the beard.
Is that a euphemism of some sort?
It could be. Like,
I think
I
you
want to
are
climb in the beard now and jump out on someone.
Oh yeah, this is something that Torton has worked out.
I'm small enough to fit in the beard of Holding.
Yes, this is our recorded conversation.
So, my dragonborn friend, what can I do for you? You clearly brought your chair over here for some reason. can only imagine is to talk to me about something business orientated.
Well, I got told I'm not allowed to speak to you about the farm. But
Well, how about instead, simply so that your friends are satisfied, you simply talk at me, and I'll just smile and nod.
no, I'm gonna behave. I heard you talking about a boat, though, and a man could be interested in a boat.
Really?
What kind of boat? Can I breathe fire out the front of it?
Well, you're a dragon. I'm assuming you'll be able to breathe fire no matter what boat you're on.
Ah, yes, but out the front of it, so that it looks like.
Not as yet, but there's always a but with these things. Things can be added to, counterweighted, balanced out. The world's full of possibilities, my friend, especially with a dragon on the front of your ship.
Okay, this is good news.
But my ship is something that is artistic as well. And when I say it has a dragon at the front of the ship, I mean that very literally. I mean, you obviously know of Viking ships, of course.
Of course.
And on the front of every Viking ship is the face of a beast or a monster. My boat has the face of a dragon.
That sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. What kind of
You
price
really
do you
want
have?
to buy a boat just because it's got the face of a dragon?
I want to buy a boat. The face of the dragon is a boat. I have plans for the boat for when we enter boat combat. I am part of the plan.
What's the other plan? I mean, how can you carry a boat when we know is, on the boat?
We can get it to the water. I assume that the boat isn't currently landlocked.
Well, at the moment it is, but that's just simply a case of pushing it out to sea when the tide comes up. You know how it is.
You see, Baracus, that's a case of just pushing out to sea when the tide comes in.
Yeah, Mr. Intelligence. But what about after? I mean, it's not that we are always going to be on water, right? I fucking hope so, no?
We exist within an archipelago. What do you... We're on water a lot.
Mm. do you really need it? I mean, do you really need it? I mean, you know what? It's up to you. I don't really care. Why
I just feel that. I feel like eventually, the amount of money that we spend on traveling on boats, it would just be cheaper to have our own boat.
It will be even cheaper or even better to get a boat that if fucking disappears after, you can carry it off. Yes, like a floating boat.
Look, if I can work out a way to get the boat in the beard, I'll work it out. But until that point, until that point, we could benefit with a boat. We have a crew waiting for us.
That's true.
Am I in your crew?
Never mind.
We have a crew waiting for us, so we just need a boat.
Who's the crew?
They're from Aqua.
Well, by Aqua Veda, I'm assuming that you mean Saxons.
I believe my understanding is there are some dwarves.
Ah. Well, that changes things. Well, my dragonish friend, the ship that I am offering is a longship boat. So, but normally that would go for something around about 10,000-12,000 gold. Given the artisticness of it, I believe I'll be aiming at the high range of that.
Okay.
Yeah, but does it fold?
No, I'm afraid not. It is a fully sized and adequately proportional boat.
I've been probably about average.
And I will also add, it has a ram at the front of it.
That is exactly what I'm looking for. Now, I will have to discuss this with my group.
Of course. This is no small investment.
Exactly. Well, very thankful for the information. And as to keep the group on the good side, so that I can talk them into the boat, I will move away now, so that I don't discuss the farm.
Oh, the farm, he says very loudly.
And with that, I take my adieu. And
No, you
seeing
can talk about it.
that Toleman's move, I will pick up my chair, smiling at Onyx as I walk past.
Did nobody notice Todd has been walking across the table and picking up our food because can't reach the plates?
Yeah. Yeah, everyone noticed, so I don't think anyone just decided to do anything about it.
We're all okay with it.
Yeah.
You do what you gotta do.
So, as you're sort of like in this sort of pre-feast point, and while you're all bathing, what effectively equates to 8 giant pigs have been brought in to the. No wait, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 8 pigs.
Todd's going to walk up to the nearest one, pick it up, and walk back to my normal seat. Kick into Kashan out in the way.
Have been brought into the central area and put over fires, and basically are being spit roasted over the course of the night. And then after sort of like the main bulks of the crowds have come in, these 4 giant barrels, and these barrels are literally 5 feet across, are brought in and dumped on the ground, and crowbars and stuff are jimmied open, and this massive aroma of beer, ale, and wine just like washes up into the entire room.
Wow.
Oh no.
And so everyone sort of like starts digging in. You guys end up having a barrel brought over to you, and is basically presented in front of in this sort of like empty area here. So basically, the entire crowd has something to do with these 4 barrels. You guys have one to yourself.
Oh my god.
Hell
It
yeah.
feels like home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would be bad manners if I declined ale?
A little. Just accept at least one little small mugful, and if you don't like it, I'll drink it quickly.
Can I have
Thank you.
some?
I really don't like the taste of it.
Can I have some?
Todd is just going to pick up a drink and walk off.
Okay, so there is the one that you guys have is an ale. Then there's a beer and another ale, and then a wine, and then there seems to be some sort of flavoured, just a flavoured drink, sort of effectively what you would equate to be a non-alcoholic one. It is still it is still alcoholic, but
Oh.
It's
Not
a
as-
spritzer.
It's
rather
like
than
a cider.
yeah. So, it's basically you have drinks which are there because of the alcohol content. The one there's less alcohol is more taste than alcohol content.
I shall
Mm,
try
makes
it.
It's an aperitif.
Okay, so once everyone's got their drinks and stuff, the elf then stands up and holds up a single hand, and you notice that the elf has this sort of like crookedness about his right hand, where his ring finger and his pinky stay sort of clenched, but the rest of his fingers move as normal, if that makes sense.
I think he has a broken hand. Thanks. I really wanted to be hit in the head. by
So
something.
the band sort of dies down. All of the crowd's mutterings go quiet, and Hirok stands up from his throne behind you. Is that friends, warriors, alphas?
Oh wait, I mean,
Alphas, cats, and Torvi.
Yeah.
Why does Torky get her own intro?
We are gathered here on this terrible day to feast, to drink, to fuck, and most of all,
Pardon?
but most of all, and can I get insights from each of you, please?
I think he's a bit drunk.
Oh.
Just tell me that he likes the way I move.
I got that 20.
22.
Fail.
I got
okay.
I am insightful.
Insightful as fuck.
Okay, so each of you can immediately sort of see he hasn't prepared this feast and this speech in advance, and he doesn't actually know what he actually needs to say, and he's just sort of like trying to buy time to. And finally said, to honour the gods, of course. Skull. And he holds up his cup.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Skull.
Skull.
whack.
So, Torvi, step forward. The band just sort of like shimmies off to one.
Someone will be right back, but I missed who it was.
Mikali.
Okay.
So Torvi steps forward, and for your benefit, Charlotte, Torvi and his guys who are basically here, they're all dressed up as Romans.
Okay. Odd.
The idea, but basically, I do Neverwinter as a Roman city,
That
and
makes sense.
they work for Neverwinter.
They are the enemies, apparently. Or they were.
Or maybe they're not. We're quite working with details.
I know, Torden's sitting on the table drinking and eating, so.
Torvi, my son, you have been away for some time. Tell us of your adventures. And Torvi puts one foot up on stool, so he's sort of like leaning over the table now. He's like, well, Father, I could bore you with all of the tedious guard duty, the bodyguarding, and simple bandit raids. But instead, I will tell you of what we have brought. We have brought food, wines, silks from lands far away, jewels, treasures, coins. Treasures that men can only dream of.
Can I whisper to Kushan, is this guy related to the other dwarf dude we know from another town? Because they sound
Yes. Yes.
Can we bribe him with beer to shut up then?
And Hirok's like,
Maybe.
what other treasures have you brought? And Torvi smiles and says, we have brought perfumes, rugs, meats, ways of doing things that we would never have come up with our own. And then
Get out of line for the rugs.
And then Hirok says, what else? We bring jewel-encrusted drinking horns, skulls of beasts never seen before. And at this point, Hirok is getting really impatient. He's like, what else? Tell me! And he stands up on his throne, brandishing his axe. Tell me, or I shall strike you down at this very spot.
Oh.
And Torvi then smiles, and then faces the crowd. And most importantly, we bring beard oil! At which point the entire congregation, men, women and children, all burst out into cheer.
Of course, priorities.
I was so scared.
Yeah.
I'm also so excited about the prospect of beard oil.
Would that mess up the bag of holding though?
Maybe that's the oil makes a hole.
Nobody says you can't change the look of that. So I assume with bearded oil, you can be maintained.
Yes, can I get a history check for me?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Didn't we try putting the beard upon another regular one?
No, you can't. As it turns out, that is, I'm just gonna double check, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's a 1.
Oh
Oh, I'm not sat next to it. I'm gonna give you guidance. Oh no, I am sat next to you. No, I'm not.
I'll just say for the sake of argument that you can guess up and just sort of pat him pitifully on the shoulder and...
I don't think it helps.
I don't think a D4
I'm
is
inspecting the
gonna
beard
help.
now.
Out of sheer curiosity. I made it to 2.
If, do you know when people eat and they have beards and they sometimes it comes to their beard? Does that mean Kushan never has crumbs because they always fall in the bag of holding?
Yes. So at some point he's...
Your bag is full of crumbs.
Yeah, so if he ever takes off the beard, all of the items will fall out and there'll just be this immense food waste just pouring out.
What happens is I shake it occasionally, like on a night time it's part of my routine. Shake it so that all the extra like crumbs and stuff
Yeah, I'm
come
good
out.
for the
But I
money
hold
shaped
it-
beard and it's just
I hold it like tight at the bottom so that stuff doesn't fall out, but all the crumbs and stuff just like...
You just sort of wring the beard out.
Yeah.
I kind of hate that.
This is why we don't get good reviews after we leave the place.
Just for that, of course. Not for the murdering, pillaging, and everything else that we do.
People aren't
It's
that
for the
bothered by the
crumbs.
murdering.
I think
The
they are.
stealing, the stealing that, you know, Doc,
That was not us.
that was frowned upon. That's why I let Scott deal with it.
It was more frowned upon by the fact he got caught as opposed to the fact that it happened.
Yes. True, but still frowned upon.
Next time I'll just let him kill himself.
Probably for the best.
Well, even with that score, you do recall that Finnan, when he gave you the beard, did mention something about it. You just can't remember the specifics.
I'm gonna assume.
So Torfi then says, "We have beard dyes. We have cleaning oils, polishing oils, even enlarging oils." And he sort of like gives everyone a sly look. And other enlarging oils.
Oh no.
I am not
You
passing
use-
bless on anyone.
I'm just gonna like subtly look over at Marilla and just be like, there are oils for that.
I go bright red.
I do
and
quite
white.
fancy being Godzilla again.
We have oils for all your needs. At a fair price, of course. And the whole sort of like
I
group
was
just
about
sort of
to
like
say a
laughs a
certain
bit.
person likes that, but I'll be banned from saying his name. This is me metagaming that. I'm checking with you.
Sorry?
I was about to make a comment about a certain person would enjoy that, and then we can't say his name here, can we?
You can if you want, so nobody said otherwise.
I thought we were told he wasn't welcome here.
I don't know.
Frank. I thought Frank wasn't allowed in this zone. I thought Scott said don't whatever we do under any circumstance mention Frank.
No? Yeah, I don't remember saying that.
Okay.
I mean, generally he has like a
As a
rule about not
general-
bringing, about not
No,
bringing up
just there was
Frank.
like an opportunity there for a Frank moment, I'm thinking.
I mean, if you want to summon Frank, you can.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying, it's the kind of thing that Frank
I
would
don't feel
turn
like
up
it's ever
for.
a recommendation to somebody, Frank.
So then, after sort of like a good amount of like cheers and stuff, but Hirok raises up signals to the elf to raise up his hand again. The din dies down, and he's like, "Hirok, my son, step forward."
Oh, it gives a crap. You didn't bring me a sword.
And the other dwarf steps forward, and you can definitely see that he is related to Hirok. He is very much a spitting image of him, bar the fact that he is scarred to like hell and back. One of his eyes has been put out, with scarred across his face, and his left arm has been replaced with. So his left hand has been replaced with a hook.
Damn.
Maybe I've stabbed him intently.
It must be real risky to go lefty.
My son, tell me of our war effort. And so Hirok basically he explains the different, basically the situation on the front lines, that effectively everything has been quiet and they've actually made quite a few advancements, but because of supply issues they haven't been able to carry on. But he has noted that the Celts are getting desperate in all of their raids, and so therefore he's taken that as a good sign that he's got them on the run. And so Hirok basically, not as enthusiastically as with Torvi, sort of just gestures that he'd take his seat again. There's just like this general rumble of applause. And so the ruckus sort of like builds up again slightly as people start chatting to each other. And so after a little bit, you see Scott signal over to Padman. Padman, come over here. So Padman sort of canters across the table. And you see Scott whispering something in Padman's ear. And he then pulls out one of the bracelets that he gave you guys at the start of the campaign. And he puts it in Padman's mouth. And Padman then looks up at Hirok to Scott again. And then jumps down from the table and slowly goes over to Hirok. And Hirok seems to have been waiting very specifically for this, because he, without signaling the elf, he actually holds up his hand, and everything just goes immediately silent. Padman very tentatively goes over to his throne, and so there's a little cushion in front of it, and he places the bracelet down on the cushion, and then he then sits down and says, "Lord, please accept this as a token of our friendship and our thingy, and we hope that we can count on your friendship and our trust in our new alliance." So Hirok, sort of grinning from ear to ear, leans down and picks up the bracelet, and you can see that on his arm it wouldn't have a chance in hell of ever fitting him. You can maybe wrap it across a few fingers, but not across his arm.
No.
And he holds it up and said, "Gladly, I accept this." And then he holds it up to the crowd, and everyone starts cheering. And then over the cheers he yells, "Let it be known that the alliance between the Alphas and the Danes is renewed." And so Padman like, "Yay! Can I transform now?"
Oh no.
And so Hirok then shouts out to the crowd, "What do you say? Can he transform?" And there's this like big sort of like outcry from everybody as to what he should transform into.
Oh god.
Gelatinous cube.
Oh, that would be so cute.
Mini cube.
Yes.
Padman, do a Hydra, and then you can echo like 3 times, but also.
3 times however many heads you have.
See, first off he transforms into a gelatinous cube, and corner over corner just sort of like rolls along the table.
Does he sell the dinner plates and goes?
So he basically does like a lap of the table. So it goes back into the middle.
I love him.
Rah!
Oh my god. Okay, he's not
so
that size.
cute. He is adorable.
Oh, where's Precious Bean?
Padman is the best of us.
We should all aspire to be, maybe not aspire to be like Padman, I take it back.
No!
Take that! I was gonna say, be very careful what you aspire to.
Can I go back to chasing Badman across the table now while I'm stealing chicken legs online?
Yep, sure. Okay, so like in between sort of like the main events of the feast, is there anything that you guys want to do?
Not particularly.
I was gonna say, personally, no, I
I'm
have
gonna go jump on
nothing.
someone else's table and steal their food.
Oh no.
Better go on this one.
Okay, so the Varangians all seem... They don't seem particularly shocked to see you, and you can sort of see that in comparison to like the usually jovial nature of Vikings, these guys are actually quite somber.
I'm not actually on the table, I'm trying to go like in between chairs by the way, but I can't put my token there.
Mm-hmm. Are you trying to accomplish anything in particular here, or...?
No, I'm just sort of squeezing through and just sort of like seeing if anyone's got any spare food they don't seem to be eating and just sort of like taking a bit of food here and there as I go along.
Yeah, it's basically just like there's giant plates of food, and then there's the pigs out being spit roasted in the middle. There are like people on the other side who are just...
What pigs, as I open my cloak
Alright, give me a sleight of hand.
I'm just going to take a pig off the thing. I'm trying to put it in my pocket. I got a 19.
Okay. Now, obviously you don't steal an entire pig, because the pig is bigger than you, but you managed to steal like an entire sort of like, managed to steal like an entire leg.
If she's looking to bring a pig, I can help.
Oh god.
I am down to share a pig.
Okay. It's not a case of anything for you in that case, like you can literally just...
Yeah, like, like, Colin just needs to say the word. Like,
do you want
Sean, I want a pig.
He can steal the pig too if he wants.
Okay. Right, so are you just going to take it off the fire, with it being red hot, so you're just going... Or are you going to try and be more subtle about
He's a
it?
dragon, he's fireproof.
I was gonna say, I mean, I'm good with fire.
Okay.
I'm gonna like just yeah. So I'm gonna see the one that like Totem's like sort of like kicking at and
This one here.
I don't know,
Well, I can't
pull a
see it 'cause it's
pull a
big.
leg off or something.
That
And
one.
I'm just gonna go and take the pig.
Sorry, the cat walked on my control, my thing and it's made
Okay,
me slide.
so you are fireproof. Well, you're fire resistant, not necessarily fireproof. So you do take like a burn, but it's just like 2 damage.
That's fine. That's cool. I'll roll for something if you want us to roll for something.
I'm just going to stuff his pig into his beard of holding while he's walking past.
I always carefully like throw it over my shoulder when I'm approaching fire.
You just shower everyone in like pork juice.
It is a magical item, but I'm also cautious that it sets on fire and stuff inside.
So everybody's sort of like laughing and expressing their outrage at this, but for the most part, the mood is
just... While he's got his pig now.
yeah. For the most part, the mood is still quite jovial. Can I have some?
Eat your own pig.
Ah.
Ah! I'm going to go back to chasing Paddy up there. I'm just going to be like leapfrogging over people's plates and like trying to beat Docker and parkour very badly.
Alright, give me acrobatics, please.
I'm Ducker, look at me. Is acrobatics or is it performance?
Acrobatics, please.
Sorry. Surprisingly, I got a 14.
Okay, you're able to keep your feet as you're just shouting out parkour, parkour. But you do knock over a couple of goblets and plates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so, after sort of like a general, like eating everything and stuff, Scott then turns to Hirok, the elder, and he basically says, "So, tell me, Lord, what's been going on since we last saw you?"
I found George. He's hiding behind everybody.
And at this point, Hirok's wife sort of takes over. So, I'll be honest, Arthur, things could have been better. We've had some very disturbing news recently. We're not sure whether we should take it seriously or not. And she's please, tell me. We've had word that Ragnarok has started.
Oh shit. I don't say that.
Oh shit.
Oh shit, really?
The great wolf has been sighted here in Midgard. At this point, a general hush just sort of washes over the room. And she then sort of stands up and says, "Yes, you heard
Is that
me."
a hedgehog in a dice? It's a penguin! Sorry. Got distracted.
Okay. So,
Blame McKay? Is that McKay? Yeah. McKay's got a picture of a penguin dice. It's only a while ago and I just got the message.
yeah, fair enough. Okay, so, forgot what I was saying now. And she stands up and she addresses the crowd. "Yes, you heard me. Fenris Sun Eater has been seen in Midgard."
Don't do that. That hurts. Nice.
Does this inspire a reaction from any of you?
I didn't know we were listening.
Do we know anything about...
Is that not the dog that's been chasing Docker around?
I
Yep.
was gonna say, I swear that's the dog.
Oh.
Yeah. Blame Docker.
Now we know why Docker's run away.
Yeah.
He's also the same wolf that has been somewhat guiding you on your quests as you've been going along.
I just realised I muted myself.
Oh no!
I was gonna say that I was gonna like lean over to Onyx and be like, isn't that the same dog? Because we said Sunita was gonna be a really cool title, and
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't ignoring you, don't worry.
no, I was ignoring myself. Don't worry.
He's just sort of like just talking to you, like his mouth is just muted, and
His mouth's open but no sounds coming out. You're just getting that blank line you get when you get the picture of the no speaker sounds crossed out.
What it was one of those bit like, you know, when you just have a total like mind blank. So I would have like sort of like nudged her slightly, pointing in that direction, and just completely silent while staring there like.
You get me, right?
Get it.
But yes, most recently, Fenris was the dog, or wolf rather, that you fought Murad with. But
Well, we
before
were told not to let it eat things, weren't we?
before that, he had been hanging out with Archer and Fatim Armistice, and before that, he had guided Alumba Amarela to you guys, whenever you guys were separated and first met.
Yeah.
Can I shoot a look to Scott as to whether or not we should say anything, or?
Yeah, Scott just sort of like he seems to be thinking about it, and then in the end he just sort of shakes his head. And Hirok says, "You know something of this, Alpha?" "Yes, Lord, yes we do. Though I can say, with a fair degree of certainty, that you have nothing to fear. Ragnarok will only begin if Odin and Fenris are in the same room. So as long as Odin doesn't come to Midgard, everyone is safe."
And this is where he said Odin's already here and Odin burst into the room or something.
I was about to say, by the same room, that doesn't just mean, like, I mean, if they're in a garden, it's fine, because it's not a roof over, right?
Well, I'm not sure. And he basically says, "Well, George basically says, I'm not sure that would apply, given that the roof of the building will most likely be levelled whenever they do finally meet."
So,
They
like,
would have
garden
originally
would
met in a
count
room
as the
that had a
room.
roof.
Okay, noted.
So when you say room, you mean general plane of existence.
Well, there's that, but they still have to physically meet. That is why he is here. He's looking for Odin. As long as he doesn't find him, we're safe.
Question?
Yep.
Question?
Yep.
Told him to see like a question until someone, like a few people answer. Question?
And then Padwin's like, question.
Would you if you and children lie on their bellies and like kick their legs and like look really intently at the conversation? That's what me and Paddy are doing, but Paddy's doing with all 5 of his heads. So, if we technically put blindfolds on Fenris and a blindfold on Odin and put them in the same room, they haven't seen each other, but they're in the same room. Would that still count Ragnarok?
Well,
As long as they don't meet, so like as long as we avoid them greeting each other, surely that.
Yeah, so I'm saying, if we blindfold them, they can't see each other in the room. They can't greet each other in the room. So therefore, are they in the same room? Does it still count?
it is possible.
Blind people can meet, Tom, as long as we keep them quiet.
We can gag them.
It is possible, but it's been my experience that Odin doesn't necessarily want to destroy the world. So as long as he remains in Asgard, we're all safe.
So if nobody randomly summon Odin. Can anyone here summon Odin? I'm gonna look
He's
at
not
Maria
an
and she can
archangel, so
summon
no, not for me.
stuff.
I like Uncle Odin. He has a big beard.
Uncle?
He's your uncle?
Scott,
That is
but-
some new information.
But I call him Uncle, but he's more like a Gangad, and because he's very, very old, and old people can only be Gangads or Gannies. So but he doesn't like it when I call him Gangad Odin, so I call him Uncle Odin.
I'm very
He's your
confused.
grandfather. By whose relation?
And Scott basically says that's just something that he calls himself. He calls himself the All Father, so therefore he
It's the father of all.
yeah.
Oh,
Ah, fair enough.
Okay.
I am glad to hear that.
we can now breathe a bit.
Just like Uncle Shiva.
Yeah,
What?
let's not get
Not really.
I like playing with Uncle Thor.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't like Uncle Loki though. He has a very sinister British accent.
Are you sharing, I suppose?
Yourself.
And so Scott then says, "Go on, Padron. Go play with the Vikings. I know you want to." And then, yay! And Padron runs off into the crowd.
I'm just going to carry on sitting, and I'm just going to sit back up now and just start helping myself with the food off Scott's plate. I'm going to pick it up on my lap and eat, because he's obviously not eating it.
Okay, is there anything that anybody else would like to do or ask before the next event of the feast occurs?
I'd like to talk to the hang on. Is his name Crinolin? The elf guy?
Crinolin is the mage. His name is Howder Jotun.
That sounds like it's how'd you doing.
How's he using?
Let me just fix my notes.
How
Yeah, I'd like to speak to him.
with that funny accent, yeah.
Yes, of course.
For some reason when elves talk to each other they sound part Russian.
Exactly. But it's part of the plan, you know.
Da.
Yeah. But no, I'd like to go over and be like, "Hello, friend."
Okay, for purposes of argument, for sake.
He moved chairs.
Is that it?
Oh, I'd like just gonna go over. Gooch.
Well, I just stole his chair so he can't go back down.
Greetings,
Well-
kin sister.
I was just curious, being so close to home, if you have heard anything.
About the plague, I assume you mean.
Maybe.
It's really coming down with plague. Really.
Sorry, I actually also have the plague. You know what? I don't know if that's what I mean, because I don't know the last time I learned something about it, because I didn't write it in my Minas Epidas frickin' notes.
Well, what do you have in your Mincephadas notes, given that you've got so many notes that you have to categorize them?
I had to genuinely, it's getting out of control at this point, how notes up. Zombie apocalypse, borders are currently closed.
Yes, that's effectively all that we know at the moment as well. I mean, our Lord has been very kind, and he's established something of a relief effort for our kin for when the borders reopen. As to when that will be, unfortunately, we do not know.
Haven't you
Do
been
you
told?
know of any ways of getting in? I know the borders are shut and I don't want to break any laws doing it, but
Break
I was hoping
the
of
law.
going there.
Oh, legally, I'm afraid not. Fortunately, Vikings have a very blasé approach to law-keeping of other people's laws, you must understand. We're very serious about our own laws.
So, could she not ask the Vikings to break it?
Well, I'm fairly sure that's why she's here. Wouldn't you say, my little friend?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to go home so I can aid. I have.
But then I have to separate Rose and allowed to go home.
I have what you could say strong relations to the Temple of Lyria.
Ah, Father Keeves, I take it.
Yeah, he is my grandfather.
Oh, small world. Yes, Rihanna Keeves is a person most wonderful, I must say. Yes, and so
I'm
like
a little worried.
goes like misty-eyed for a moment. And
I'm a little worried about him and the temple and my friends there. That I've gotten stronger since being out here in the world, and I want to go help if I can. I don't know why Maraid has become really posh suddenly.
well, have no fear,
So she's
sister.
at the feast with royals?
Have no fear, sister. If Minas Epidas fell tomorrow, the whole world would know. Seeing it as it hasn't, and the world is very much still alive, there is hope.
Okay, that brings me comfort. Thank you.
And Hero basically latches onto this and is like, aye! Our elven allies to the south, may they persevere and destroy their enemy with all the force that Odin and Thor combined can muster. Skull! He holds up his mug.
I take whatever I have and I go skull.
And so Haldir basically leans forward, and he very, very obviously takes your horn out of your hand and replaces it with his own. Skull! he toasts to you.
Skull?
I'm guessing you drink his drink,
I will take a very small sip.
and then we find Marina passed out.
Okay. Right, so what he has effectively given you, the others will sort of recognise this, is dragon blood wine.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I'm going to sit and poke my Kelly while she's going. Quack Norris, Quack Norris, Quack Norris, Quack Norris.
Did I just come back to hearing dragon wine?
Yep, he's...
They just gave Marina dragon blood wine.
Ah, yay! What does it do?
I'm going to roll to see if I like it.
I
don't
demand
like
Quack
it.
Norris.
Okay, yeah,
But
so...
I will take the sip and you know that face when they're expecting you to like it, so you're really forced to not squint and do that choke thing. I'm gonna do that.
Okay, right, so, so you feel, that burning sensation, and you let out, a burp, and it's really sort of warm for you, if that makes sense.
Lovely.
And that seems to have a sort of an effect on the people immediately around you. So in this case, Haldir and Barakas. One sec. Your character has so much stuff here. I really do struggle to find anything with you.
Right? Is there anything can I help?
I'm trying to find out, whenever you heal someone, how much health you get.
Oh, I know where that is. I say, I'm probably going to scroll past it. I regain HP equal to 2 plus the spell level.
Okay, so in that case you regain 3 hit points, and Haldir and Barakas get 3 temporary hit points as well.
Oh.
So the
I think nice.
wine has unique effects on like the different drinkers.
That is interesting.
Yeah, and
Is this
we
made
actually
by
managed to get a few bottles. Is that correct?
Is this the wine that's made of my blood?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, it's not specifically your blood, but it's the guy who you've invested in. He made it.
Well, you donated some bloods, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the stuff that you gave blood to is still being cooked, as it were. This is stuff that has been
Rude.
already done.
Yeah.
It has an interesting taste.
You just down like and there's like a cup of water next to you. Yes, it does. And I expect to see all of it gone by the end of this feast. He just like surreptitiously just gets up and walks away.
I look at Onyx going, oh.
I'll drink it for you.
Give it to me!
Yeah, okay, I'm very grateful for friends who will drink it.
I've actually tried this one, so I'm like more than excited.
I will pray that you have no hangover tomorrow.
That's tomorrow's problem.
That sounds like something we say in real life.
Yeah.
That's a problem for tomorrow, Charlotte.
Yeah.
That's gonna be me in just like over a week.
Oh gosh.
I can't wait for that to be tomorrow transition.
Oh, so excited.
Okay, so Trin, are you having some?
Oh yeah. It's about time.
Okay, so you basically you drink it, and your vision just suddenly becomes razor sharp. Like you can see, pretty much everything that is there to see. You can see like the individual strands of hair in Kashan's beard. Yeah, you can see.
Wow.
You see 8K.
Yeah, pretty much.
My graphics.
So the frame rate just like jumps up from 60 to 120.
Wow.
and-
That's surreal.
And so you basically, you can picture you shooting with this, and you basically shoot with advantage, and you basically, and whatever narrative this takes, you would get crits on a 19 as well.
Oh.
That's cool.
I know what we need to invest in heavily. Is all I'm
That's what I
saying.
said. Fuck the boat. Thank you.
Look, I'm gonna throw it out there. I've got farm, we can go to stuff we need to make the wine. I've got the blood. I'm just saying.
I mean, you've got a point. You do have a point. It's not going to be at all concerning.
Okay.
I think I like that. I think I like the idea.
Yes.
Are you having some as well?
What, me? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I already got. I think I already know my what I'm expecting to.
Okay. But However, it's not that. And can I get a history check from you, please?
History. Let's roll my -1. 14.
Okay. You remember him saying every time that you take a drink, it will be something different.
Oh!
Oh no.
I don't know how to take it.
Okay. And you just suddenly you receive this just bolster of energy, just but you feel, and it just surges all throughout your body, and you just you don't necessarily feel stronger in your body. You feel stronger in your magic, and for the purposes of the next hour, you have an additional packed spell slot.
Nice. Cool.
For the context of the rest of you, he gets 2 packed spell slots for the course of a short rest.
Nice. Hey, that's pretty good.
I mean, yes, to have an extra spell to cast on a day instead of just 2, you know.
And in the case of Barracast, that means an extra 5th level spell slot.
Oh wow.
Excuse me, bitch. Take it on.
Okay, so as this is happening, has anybody been trying to keep track of Padwin?
No, I gave up.
Who?
God's here, he's not my responsibility.
Okay, so
Yes,
No, he went to play with the Vikings.
He
Right.
never said to us to look after his child. I'm not being paid enough of a wage to be a babysitter.
it was more just more a case of was anybody interested in what he was doing.
Kind of.
Interested in what he's doing? Yes. Yes. Am
Okay.
I actively pursuing it and watching it? Absolutely not.
Well, anybody who is interested and basically tries to goes, oh, where's Padwin? Has he blown something up yet? Can I get a perception check, please?
I like to think that we stripped them off properly by this point.
Oh.
Oh,
Hey. Right. How perceptive am I? Oh yeah, I should be really good at this. Jesus.
Onyx, if you want to do yours with advantage.
Thank you.
keen
With it.
eyes.
Natural 20.
Nice!
6.
I have a 6.
It's a thought that counts, you know?
I
Add
also-
20
I-
onto that.
I think that the confidence with which I said it also helped.
Exactly.
Where is Padwin? I do not know.
Okay, so Marilla, you sort of latch on to where Padwin is, and so you immediately see him, and he is trying to squish himself in between the table and what looks to be the most bloodthirsty berserker in the room.
Oh my god.
And so he's managed to squish himself through, and he's basically trying to get the drumstick which is on his plate. All of the other Vikings in the area have noticed this and are sort of chuckling to themselves. He is the only one who's oblivious to this. As he is very loudly telling the story about a guy's head that he caved in with his hammer.
I
And-
will say nothing.
Yeah, Scott appears to have noticed this as well, but he also isn't saying anything yet. He's sort of very amusedly just watching this. So Padwin basically gets onto the table and starts nipping at the drumstick. And with his back turned, the berserker is going to try and pick up said drumstick.
No,
And of course, he picks up Padwin instead.
no.
So he lets out this little yelp as the berserker brings Padwin up to his mouth, and he's like, "Ah, don't eat me!"
Look, Yuna's talking.
And so the berserker just jumps up, like drops Padwin on the table and grabs his hammer, thinking there's something is attacking him. And so Padwin just like goes rah, and then darts off towards towards Scott.
Oh.
And all of the Vikings around him just burst out into laughter. And Scott basically stands up, raising his goblet, and is like, "Hail, Tosty Wolfskin! May you strike fear into your enemies as much as you strike it into my own son." And there's this general sort of like, "Hail!" from the rest of the crowd around him, and the berserker isn't particularly keen on this, but he realizes that Scott has sort of like given him a way out. So after a sort of like a couple of angry huffs, he eventually just like nods and sort of sits back down and raises his goblet to Scott. But he's very clearly embarrassed by everything that's just happened.
Aww.
And it's at that moment that the door here opens up.
It's Odin.
No, please. No.
From the other door, Fenris walks in. Boom.
Don't give him ideas.
I was gonna say, if Odin walks in now, I'm so sorry.
Please don't jinx it.
No, bear with me. I didn't do the token for it.
So this person appeared here. So that helps.
Yeah, so in the back, the door opens, and it opens with a, despite the fact that it wasn't pushed open with a definitive bang, it it does sort of like echo around the room, and so you can see immediately that it's the mage.
Yay.
She basically walks through and is like, "Oh, forgive me, Lord. I was busy bathing. You know how it is, with my self all alone. I had to find some way to entertain myself."
Are all the mages of wit a bunch of flirty poo bums?
And so George basically walks over to you and is like, "Yes, I'm afraid so. It's part of their repertoire."
They need to get a life. Or meet each other.
But greetings, Alphas. It's been so long since I've last seen you.
I have never met you.
Scott basically turns to you and is like, "Yes. Not as long as I would have hoped for." And so Scott basically just scowls at her and sort of pulls Padwin over towards him. And so, see that you're still alive. Like, yes, I am. I've been very fortunate here. I've had just a lot of things that I've been able to do to amuse myself. But tell me, Alphas, how have you been doing? I understand that you haven't had much luck in rebuilding your order. It's such a shame. And Scott basically said, "Well, thankfully, we've got some new members here, some of which have proven to be more than a match for members of your own order." You're like, "Oh, yes, I heard about that." She basically comes over to you. Can I get a perception check from you, Morela and Barakas?
Oh. Okay. Okay. 15. I was really struggling to do 9 plus 6.
McKelly?
Okay.
Have you muted yourself, McKelly?
think he's talking to somebody in the background. I think the background noise is him.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Marilla's is enough, and you notice a black-clad, elderly man with one eye, and he doesn't have it in the picture, but a pointed hat, sort of like standing in your peripheries, and then as you look at him, he disappears.
Uh-oh.
No.
No, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it.
I'm
right
sorry. I didn't mean to jinx Odin Volkenberg.
I don't feel mad about it. I don't.
He does look kind of like the Geralt of Rivia.
Would
I
you
was
have to make
thinking
a
the
decision?
same
If these
thing.
guys went into a battle,
I'm
would we
so
have to
glad
pick
we're all
between him
losing
and
today.
Fenris?
You don't know, you seem so. And she basically comes over to you and is like, yes, it must have been quite the ordeal having to murder my dear sweet sister.
Is she your actual sister, or was she just a sister
You
of
would
yours?
think that, but not really.
As in Arthur, run it's Ricola Shepherd, it's Ricola Shepherd.
Well, that maid, yes, but not Ricola Shepherd specifically.
As in
She's
relation.
still running around wild in the background somewhere.
Sorry guys, what did I miss? Just for now.
We just thought, don't worry, but I just you
No
and
one
me
summoned
just saw
Odin.
maybe
It's
Odin in the corner of our eye that disappeared.
Oh, well,
Also, maybe not, so, you know.
Well,
At least there is no here.
don't worry about it. It's just the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
Nothing new.
I noticed that none of you are at all surprised that this has been prepared in advance or anything like that.
Because we kind of guessed that you are prepared for 99%.
No, I'm just
now.
I'm, I'm freaking out actually, but
Morena keeps her cool, so Charlotte can't actually freak out unless she breaks character.
how did you know?
But do not fear. There'll be the people who will fight you afterwards, they will be much more prepared for you than my dear sweet sister was. But, and she leans closer to you. And it's not like in the usual flirtatious way that you would expect from her. She sort of leans forward with you with a certain degree of dignity. And she whispers very specifically to you, Mariel, that in all honesty, you have done me a favour. Because in our order, we don't exactly die often, and so therefore, new positions are hard to come by. And she then straightens up and is like, well, this has been lovely, but I'm afraid I must take my seat. She goes over to Hirok and sits on his lap.
Does the queen do anything?
The queen just sort of gives her. She sort of watches her walk past, and bear in mind that it's a good 5 feet in between each chairs, so it's quite a bit of distance. And can I get insight from you guys? Anyone who's interested?
Yeah.
I wonder if we're ever
I
going
was
to
gonna
find a
say
king that's
something
loyal
so-
to his wife that never sleeps with his witch.
Oh, dear me.
But that was
I
basically what Alfred was.
Alfred wasn't. Oh, is that why she?
I got an 18 on my inside.
I got a 10.
I got 24.
Okay, so Michele, did you roll?
Yeah, but no. I mean, yes, but no.
Yes, but you got terrible.
Danny, do you want to roll? Just give me your modifier roll now.
I can't see that either, so either way I need to load the page.
Right, you got 15 on the dice. So Onyx and Tordon, you notice that the queen is observing the maid with a fair degree of interest.
Looks like the queen's more interested in the king.
And Hirok basically just allows her to sit on his lap, and she does various wiggles to sort of make herself comfortable. And then once she's seated, she sort of just like leans back and uses him as a pillow. And you can see this is something that the three of them are very accustomed to.
Okay. Freeway, there's nothing wrong with it.
It is when the wit people are not very nice people.
It's none of our business, right?
We actually killed one of them.
Again, it's not really our business.
And so, again, there's like a general sort of like hubbub around the room. So, does anybody want to do anything in between now and the next bit?
I'm good.
I mean, if the Queen seems alright with it, I was going to offer my services to take out the trash, but...
Oh, when she was really close to me, I was so tempted to be like, wow, have you brushed your teeth today? Something really smells.
Shut up!
I was like, that's so snappy for her. But
No, we can't murder red paladins. But
We
will
can't
be
insult
snapping down his head.
the wits now because they're with the pocket.
Are you saying that
not
I'm
reacting
not?
to this
I'm
one, that's
never
also-
allowed to be snappy. Is that what you're saying? Sometimes, Kashan, people arc us and get under our skin, and I think it's fair that these people do it. Red paladins are just rats. You can take them out. These people, they're like a flea on you that you can't find, and it itches and they bite.
You told me off for killing the rats. That's why I let the other one live.
The only reason.
That's literally it.
Okay. Also, like,
Did someone
with the
say bite?
murderers.
Sorry, I was late, so I got stuck in traffic.
Well, we wondered when
I was wondering where were you?
Please leave.
Oh, is this a party? Well, I can be your entertainment if you like.
you missed all the oils,
Ooh.
Frank. Go talk to that guy. I'm gonna go point to the guy that was talking about oils and stuff.
Oils, you say?
For the love of
That
God,
dude.
please don't be the entertainment.
I'll cheat him up. I'll start to clap on top of the chair.
Tom, take over. I'm discussing business.
Oh no!
Dance.
How is Scott reacting to the Witch of Wits attitude with the king?
So he's now holding Padwin very tightly towards him, and he's observing her, but very obviously not happy with the situation. And then Hirok notices, like, come, Alpha. Now's not the time to hold grudges, especially now that we've established our new alliance. Give it time, you can kill each other later.
Why does Scott not like the wit people? We've never actually been told. Sorry, I don't mean to punch it.
So, so George basically leans over and whispers very directly in your ear, like, so nobody else can really hear. But the Mages of Wit have made multiple attempts to kidnap Master Padwin, and at one time they succeeded, and they nearly dissected him.
I thought that was the other people, the Inquisition-y people.
No, the Inquisitions are something of allies towards the Alphas. However, Master Padwin's magical abilities, which have become apparent in the last couple of months, are presenting something of a problem with them.
We got the impression he had magic for a long time.
He does, but in the last few months, his magic has been dialed up to 11, shall we say. Coincidentally, his magical talents have taken an upshot when the breakout from Esgaroth occurred.
Maybe Padwin broke the prison.
Let's not give Padwin any more.
Ideas?
I'm not giving him ideas. I'm saying this to George. I don't know where Padwin disappeared off to.
I doubt it, but rest assured, it is something that we are looking into.
Why don't you just ask him?
Ask me what?
Did you break a prison?
What's the prison?
a big floating castle in the sky. Did you break it?
No.
There you go. Problem solved.
If only everything was solved that easily.
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What was the question?
Think,
He's probably committed war crimes, let's be real.
of course he's committed war crimes. That's not a question.
God. Poor Padman.
Hey Trin, you know who would love to play Padwin?
Who?
Q.
Oh my god, yes.
We have a friend who loves to play characters like this, and I'm like, oh, in the live action Alphas film, we need to get our friend in to play them. That's obviously happening, right?
Yeah.
Eventually,
Of course.
yes. Matt Mercer will be the voice of Scott.
Oh my god, yes!
Is that not the animated version?
No, we'll get Matt Mercer and give him makeup and attach a beard to him.
He has a pretty good beard.
I think you could pull it off.
Yeah.
So the hubbub sort of like builds up and stuff like that again, and Scott eventually seems to get over himself, because despite what he sort of thinks, but you notice that the mage doesn't actually appear to be sort of focusing on Padrin in any particular way. She's very chilled out, and she seems to be observing the room more than anybody else.
So you're going to choose observing Tom Holland more than anyone else?
Yeah. And so eventually, Scott then pipes, after letting Padwin go, he sort of pipes up. So tell me, Lord, I notice none of my alphas are here. Why is that? So Hierarch then sort of like goes, that is something of a long story. And he just sort of shoos the mage off his lap, and she just sort of like very slowly walks away, and eventually goes back into here. And the Queen simply stands up and is like, "If you excuse me, Lord," and she follows through.
Okay.
And so Hero sort of like watches them both go with something of a longing expression, and Scott goes, "My alphas, Lord." He's like, oh yes, of course. Well, last full moon was hard for us, but you know how it was for the rest of the world. But we experienced a lycanthrope threat like none we'd ever seen before. I mean, your alphas are fantastic at keeping the enemy at bay, to be sure, but with this month's attack, they were hard pressed, is probably the best way to put it. And unfortunately, the results of their solution to the lycanthrope attack have left everyone with a sour taste in their mouth. It seems that one of the villages to the north was very overwhelmed with lycanthrope infection, and their solution was to remove the village. From what the scouts have told me, you could see the smoke for miles and miles. A village of over 200 people. Nobody seemed to have survived. Of course, I would have invited them to the party, to the feast anyway, but it was their decision to not force anything and to sully their reputation even further. And also I understand that some of them are injured and require rest and healing. So Scott basically nods and said, I'm sure this is something that we can work out. I'm sure there's some truth to this.
Wait, they massacred a village?
By the sounds of it, yes. It seems very clear that
We don't go around massacring. Are we bad people? Told I'm going to start having a crisis of dilemma here.
so it's very clear that Hirok doesn't seem to have all the information here. He only has information on the aftermath.
Are we bad people?
No.
So,
I'm a
We save
people.
people.
I'm a
We
people.
joined the wrong side.
I'm a
we are
people.
expected to massacre villagers.
I'm a people.
You're a thing, not people.
Oh, okay. I'm good at discuss.
Oh, then we are good.
Does anybody want to do anything else before the next conversation heads?
Honestly, in
Nope.
shock that the alphas
I'm going to
have
blow my
killed
nose
so
on the
many
edge of
people.
Belcast's
Yeah.
coat.
Mhm.
Belcast, not Belcast, Barracast.
So what were you saying?
I'm going to blow my nose on Barracast's coat. I said Belcast a minute ago. And I think that's the wrong
Plan shit.
So the things sort of like go back to normal, and Hirok seems to be trying his utmost to sort of sneak off and join his wife and the mage, but the elf seems to be aware of this, and so every time that he does, he sort of raises the fact that he's moved, and he's like, "Lord, is there anything I can get for you?" and things like that.
Get the guy, his wife and girlfriend.
You seem eager to leave, Lord. Shall I put the feast in the end? So
Thank you.
constantly bring him to light the fact that he's trying to leave. And he's like, "No, elf, I'm fine."
I think they want to finish the feast.
So, but at this point, Padwin is sort of getting a little bit tired, the hubbub around the room is very much dying down, and Scott is basically just like flicking little small pieces of chicken just at the table, and Padwin's just like very lazily just trying to catch them with his paw, and then all of a sudden he just sort of jerks up, his ears sort of twitching. And Scott also looks up as well.
What's wrong?
Trouble.
There's always trouble.
And you basically, very vaguely, from distance in this very muffled voice, you can just simply hear who's there? Getting louder and louder and louder and more clearer. The shield bitch is here! The shield bitch is here!
the
Oh,
sheep.
shit.
And then all of a sudden the doors are just flung open, and this elf just like runs into the room, and you can see that he's run ragged. And he's like, "The shield bitch is here! The shield!" He just suddenly goes rigid and silent, and then he just falls into the fire pit
Wait, did we not kill the shield person?
with an arrow sticking out of his back.
Oh, fuck.
Ooh, boy.
And in the doorway, pretty much as if she owns the place, a dwarf like this just walks straight into the room.
Ah.
Sheep. What a name.
And flanking her, a number of female warriors dressed up in raven feathered cloaks. And then flanking them,
That's...
Wait, is that them? It's them people.
Oh.
It's the guys.
God.
It's those bloody
It's the
guys.
guy I have labelled as snail guys.
Yeah, they're like, what?
The snail guys?
Snail guys.
Yeah, I don't know why I've called them snail guys. It's
I'm
because
gonna
one
grab-
guy has a snail by him. So they're called the snail guys in my notes.
I'm gonna preempt.
Where did you guys meet them?
myself at them.
Like,
Yeah.
a long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away.
Wait.
There was a bunch of guys called the Snail Guys. And they lived and died many times.
I am immediately excited how this feast has gone so far.
I would like to stand up and like move
I-
around the table.
I have 100% moved to where this body is.
Okay.
Wait, are those one the people that do not die?
Yep, it's
They
them.
died briefly.
So you got Barracus just going like, wait, what's going on? What's going on?
I'm going to cast mage armor on myself and point my arrow. My mage armor makes me look like super buff.
Alright, so- okay. Right, so all of the alphas have just like immediately put none of you are armoured. Let me point that out as well, because you're all in your your outfits and
Well,
stuff.
I've just summoned my armor.
Let me
Yeah,
just take my
I'm
armor
happy.
off real quick.
Yeah.
Armor.
Oh no.
Do I have
Okay.
my axe?
Right, you do have
Oh my god, my AC is so low without it. Whoa.
Ha ha ha!
Do we have any weapons on us?
yeah, you each have a single weapon. Yeah,
Alright.
they're not particularly bothered about you guys being armed or anything like that. But you've taken off your armor to basically be in a civilian situation.
I'll say that my axe is on my back and I've summoned my flame sword.
Okay. So put. So this immediate hush just washes over the group, and everybody just sort of scampers out of the way, leaving these guys just sort of like framed in the doorway.
I love we were all threatened by the 4 Snail Guys and not this woman walking in there.
And it's the woman, like it's Anna, who has fired the arrow.
I was less bothered about the woman, I'll be honest. Like, until the snail guy showed up. 'Cause, like, I didn't step up when she walked in the door. It was when it was walking.
And so Frank says, "Oh no, this woman's too dominatrix even for me."
Thanks, Frank.
And so as they advance into the room, the women are basically just making this car noise, like, but like, it's very weird, if that makes sense. The way that they're acting. And so Hirok basically says, like, fuck. And then he laboriously pulls himself to his feet and stands on his throne. So, oh no, daughter. I wish I could say it was good to see you again. She steps. She basically steps up here. So she steps up to here, and then just kicks over the racks that have all the pigs on them, and just walks over the fire. Does the same to here, till she comes up to this point. Father, it's a shame to see that you haven't died yet.
Let's step forward.
Period, I suppose.
Be careful, are you?
I have to admit, this is a much smaller feast than I would have thrown. Maybe that says something very decisive for your.
Oh my gosh.
What?
She's just pissed around and chucked a couple all over my laptop.
So one sec, guys. Just need to dry out Snap's laptop. Okay, are people back?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay. So where were we?
Hirok.
Yes. So Hirok basically steps down from his throne, and I'll just say for the sake of argument that there's a gap in the tables. So you walks right up to her and says, "If I recall, daughter, I banished you in your last attempt to seize power when you failed to kill me for the 3rd time." Take this. Is it? True, father. But I have come once again to reclaim my birthright. And that birthright is your blood.
Stop shouting.
Stop it.
Sit down.
Dramatic.
So consider this my official challenge to you, Father. True, but even you are not above the law, my dear sweet daughter. No blood can be shed on the day of the thing.
Didn't you just shed blood by shooting that guy? I'm looking up sort of whisper.
Yes, that's something that you've noticed. Do you raise that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm raising it, but I'm sort of like whispering it to the room that's not him because I don't really want to get told off.
So you're just whispering that to Farrakhan and Jaws?
Yes.
Okay. And so, is that I don't. And George basically just leans in and is like, I'm not entirely sure that's something that she cares about. Though yes, the point does stand. And so Hirok then says, "Very well, daughter. I shall consider your challenge, but given that it comes from a banished one, I'm not entirely sure if I should give a shit. Now, leave my hall. You and your..." He sort of like just looks in disgust at the people still in the doorway. "And your crew are not welcome here. Unless, of course," and he hefts his axe. And at that point, pretty much everybody in the room also bears their weapons. Do you guys want to do likewise?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the table pointing my staff with my mage armor already summoned. For some reason I can't do the casting on my mage armor as well.
Yeah, that's something you need to do manually.
Okay, I was trying to do it and it just wouldn't let me do it. But then it's
I am-
on my computer, so I'm not sure if that was linked.
So you can...
It was the first one, maybe.
Yeah, so there isn't anything to actually cast, but with mage armor, your AC would only be 15.
Well, the point is, I'm just putting my whatever. I've just put the look like it makes me look buff and like I have strong armor, but I don't have it on.
Yeah.
I'm doing a performance look rather than actual reality.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so so everybody pulls out their weapons, including you guys. So that was a yes from Nat and Onyx. What about you, Morel?
I will, yes. Well, I'm not actually getting my weapon out. I'll just
Look imposing.
handy ready with spells.
Twinkly Magic puts it spirit fingers. Right, doing a bit of spirit fingers.
Barakas?
I jump on the table and get
Strip.
the two blasts ready to go.
And
Purple energy is going out of it.
yes, so you ready an Eldritch Blast? I almost feel embarrassed for asking Kashan, but are you intimidated as well?
Oh, I'm ready.
He's in their faces.
I'm very like I don't know what Kashan will be doing yet, because like at one point he pissed off that she just pushed over all this good meat and was 100% going to follow up there, but since Hero seems to have took that step, I guess I'll just turn around and smile at her on the road.
Okay. Let's
He'll smile and like put his axe across his shoulder, sort of like. Yeah.
it is the axe is over one shoulder, but the flame blade has also been brandished in the other arm.
okay.
I had the look, the eyes where they're just like looking. It's like, you know it, bring it, start it. I'm ready.
So yeah, so Scott has pulled out his Pendragon blade. George has basically just picked up Padwin and is brandishing his cavalry sword.
Oh, I expected Padwin to be sitting on the table going, "What's how?" Like holding out like a fork or something he picked up off the table, like just Puss in Boots style.
Yeah. But Jason hasn't raised a weapon. Halmond has is readying an axe, and Stig is his hands are glowing, and you recognise this as the same glow that he does whenever he readies his guiding bolt. And so Anna basically just looks around and is like, as entertaining as this will undoubtedly be, I'll withdraw, Father. if only to rob you of the entertainment of trying to kill me and watching you fail. She then turns to her two brothers. And Torvi, it is good to see you again. Although, I'm not sure I like the idea of a dwarf in a dress.
Says the dwarf in a dress.
Yeah, she's in full plate mail.
I didn't know she had the skirty one. They do like the skirty,
Yeah.
get the skirty girly one.
Well, she's not in that. She's in full
She's like Amber.
suit of armour.
She's
Yeah.
Amber, okay, it's Amber's what I thought.
And then she
How could you corrupt her? I can't look at that model now. Thank you, Matt.
Then she goes over to Hirok and is like, don't worry, brother. When I take power, the first thing that I will do is kill you. And you can join your hand in Valhalla. And she then just struts over the fire. And just sort of stops short Kashan. And so she gives you a once-over. And can I get a perception check from you, please?
She's checking you out, Kashan.
18.
You see her very visibly lick her lips at you and say, okay, I will look forward to fighting you, Alpha. And then she's...
I give her the same exact tone back.
What is it about Kashan attracting all the dangerous women?
I said I wanted the shield maiden, alright. This one's slightly terrifying, that's a little bit of Kashan.
And so she then she pushes past her own soldiers and leaves. And they basically leave the Raven Warriors and her first, and then the...
Snail guys.
Yeah. And and the one with the snail tattoo on his face, he actively points at Kashan and then just simply sneers, and they depart as well.
Well, that's more interaction than we normally get from them.
Also, the fact that they're teaming together sounds great.
Can I be really mean and point out that I really thought Kashan's kind of woman would be something like really dainty and delicate?
Like Marina.
Do you know what it is? I honestly, that's exactly where I assume he ends up. It is with someone the exact opposite. That's like...
And then Padwin's like Marina.
No, I'm too hardcore for you.
True, like, I've seen her swim that maze.
I just, for some reason, I don't know why. I was still thinking of like Dragon Ball, but like a skinny sort of...
Bikini model Dragon Ball.
No! Not
No,
the green
just
dragons,
thinking,
they're
like,
like
sort of,
slightly
like,
skinnier and
slim,
slightly
nice.
more snake-like.
No,
Like,
my God.
wears like an apron, home bakes everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Only drinks tea.
Super homely, never drinks.
No,
Just a calming
the
presence.
one, but she
I
takes it home,
immediately
but she's
brandish
like,
an axe
Michelle,
and
I
just,
haven't
like,
been late
pulls
for dinner,
down
I'm
by
going
the
to chase you
blade.
with
Aww.
And then
I
then George then says, I do notice that she doesn't deny it, so this has evidently crossed her mind in the past.
What?
And then so Padwin's like, that was fun. Can we do it again?
Okay, I'm going to put my stuff on Padwin. Oh, go, Padwin!
Yay!
And I'm going to pretend to draw with Padwin across the table.
Okay, so Padwin is going to... Oh, crap.
You're being given a Pringle. You're going to have to take it. She's not going to take no as an answer.
Thank you. So Padwin is going to turn into a pterodactyl. And
That's cheating, Padwin.
And he's going to grab a fork and he's going to jaw you. So Hirok then just sort of turns around and faces the crowd and is like, well, don't let this stop the feast on my account. Yeah, you can tell he is angry.
But she stole the meat.
She didn't steal it, she just pushed them away. I'm going to do my best to pick up the rocks as I return to the table. Taking another pig with it.
Enjoy the feast, Alphas. I have things I must discuss. Hirok, Torvi, come.
Please don't tell me you're going to say room where the wife and the thingy are making out.
You just hear him just shout, you just hear him shout out at the top of his voice, like so the entire hall can like hear, and he just shouts out, "Torhill, put your clothes on. Serious matters are afoot."
Should we tell them that we've interacted with those
Maybe.
people they were with? That they regenerate, that they revive, that they're cursed being?
Okay, so are you saying this from where you're standing?
No, I'll go back to like the table quickly.
Do you really want to chase after her? Why
I should make it up.
So so Haldir is like walking along this bit as you say that, and he then says, "I wouldn't advise that at this moment, but that is good to know." And so they all just sort of like go into this back chamber, and there's a very definitive sound of the door closing and locking.
Enjoy.
So Scott's like, "Well, that happened."
Never a dull moment.
I think I have a theory
Roll.
Oh.
about those snail guys. Since we are like in the North mythology and stuff like that, probably, maybe. I'm thinking about the army of the undead of the Hellfire, the realm of the Hell, and the undead people. That would make sense.
Yes.
That does make some sense.
But I still don't know like what's the connection between the actual rail themselves and Anna.
I'm sure that will eventually
Well,
be something that we find out.
can I get a history check from Tordum, Morella, and Kashan, please?
Huh?
History.
I guess that number wasn't horrible.
Oh, my dice.
Talking to me?
24 for me.
Careful.
Okay. But you've noticed, like, in every occasion where you have sort of fought them, they have pretty much always been allied with somebody else, and this doesn't. The people that they're allied with don't consider it to be odd, if that makes sense. So the second time that you met them, they were allied with the Red Paladins. Then the third time they were allied with bandits, and then the fourth time Red Paladins again. So it's not actually. So it's not actually that surprising that they're allied with someone else as well now.
Okay.
I think there's a big conspiracy going on here.
I literally thinking the same.
Okay, so this is basically where the feast would start to peter out and people start to go home. Towards the end of the feast, Padwin eventually just like falls asleep, and people are either just like passing out on the floor or actively leaving. So at this point, do you want to have your long rest?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, because it means the dream! I'm so scared.
Okay, so who wants to go first with their dreams?
Not me, not me, not me.
I'll go first. So, give me 2 seconds to pull it now.
Oh, Matt, before the dreams and everything, can Barricas do a spread of thirst to understand if he's correct or if false?
About the snowbirds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so sorry, just a quick recap because I've got My Little Pony blazing in my ears. What was your theory?
The army of dead of the Hellfire.
Okay, but can I get an Arcana check from you, please?
Alright. Yes, 20
Okay.
in total.
You do know that there is an element of necromancy in this, but you get the with your skills with like animating the dead and stuff like that. You can see, you know that these people, but they aren't undead. They are living beings, but there is necromancy involved with whatever it is that they are.
Right.
So you're
Fine.
so you sense that you're partly right.
Yeah.
But the others have indicated to you, put in various different ways, that they know more about the situation. They just don't want to tell you about it here, being surrounded by all these people.
Okay.
This is good.
Alright, good.
Okay, so who's going first again?
So,
Date?
my dream carries on sort of from where I was the last time. I was still fighting the giant bat gorilla. I finally managed to kill it, but as I tried to investigate sort of what it was or how it came to be, it started to bubble up and eventually then explode. And that's basically all that happened for me. I had a very good fight. It went well. I killed nothing.
Okay, and as you wake up, you also wake up feeling quite energized, and you get your 10 temporary hit points from killing with the blood axe.
Nice. That's pretty fun. Yeah, that's where my dream goes. I haven't met up with everybody else yet, so I haven't woke up with my level blanket yet.
Okay, well, at this point, yes, you have. You've woken up with what feels to be your leather blanket, and as you sort of like sit up and unfold it, you can see that this is effectively the same size and sort of like pattern of the giant bat's wings, but in a cloak.
Cool.
You'll need to do some investigation as to what it is, but that's basically what you have now.
That's pretty cool.
Okay, so who would like to go next? I think we should do Morela's last, because I think hers will be the most devastating.
I can go next.
Sure.
It's very, very easy. So my one was literally at the beginning of the dream. It was very windy. Where I left off, it was going through the path to go down. The path is the cliff down the castle, and there was the wind picked up, and this energy of spiring in front of me of green and purple color blocked the way, and I started swirling very, very fast and trying to hit me with bolts of energies. And I shouted the name of the vampire, which is Strand von Zanovic. Correction?
Strahd von Zanovich.
Oh,
Yeah.
my baby boy.
Baby boy. And anyway, another lightning strikes towards me, hitting me. But then there's like starting a fight, like in an every possible kind of thing. And I win the fight for now. And let's say push me back. The wind stops and explodes, and I wake up.
Okay, and you also feel very energized as well. And as you sort of come to your senses and stuff, your fingers have sparks of lightning going in between them.
Like a mark.
No, as in there's actual lightning in between your fingers.
Oh, okay. fun.
Think that bit in Thor, whenever he's trying to break free of his restraints,
Yeah.
and he's like, "I am the god of thunder," and he just lets out little sparks out of
Yeah.
his hand. It's basically that.
That's a new thing.
Okay, so Trin, do you want to do yours?
Oh, mine wasn't too eventful. I mean, it was kind of eventful. I didn't die, straight up, I hope. But, I was sent back to when the bat dragon big boy thingy landed. And I made it to the second set of ruins with Boney Bob / myself in skeletal form. Boney Bob was still looking for something, and I thought it was going to be the missing gem, but no. So, after ages of searching, we managed to find the trapdoor this time.
This took 3 dreams for her to find.
It's an absolute nightmare, and I'm sorry, okay? I was hopeful with that one assumption, and then, no, it's just a trapdoor. But we found it in time. Just. Boney Bob got decapitated, and his head is rolling down the set of stairs, but we're both in this roomish thing with no light now. Trapped.
So his head, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I've got to find Boney Bob's head in the dark and get down some stairs in the dark without dying, hopefully. So that's thrilling.
And of course, that's exactly what she does whenever she takes the first step and falls down the stairs.
Yep. I'm a professional, okay?
Okay. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do Natalie's dream simply because we were so busy and I kept
And the last
forgetting.
time I blew myself up, so.
Yeah. Yeah, she was in a cave, surrounded by people who were worshipping animals, and her response was to set a fireball off in the cave.
He pointed at the fire. I assumed she wanted a bigger fire.
Oh, dudes. Beautiful.
Okay, so Charlotte, why don't you explain what happened in yours?
So,
Busy.
I go back to like the cute little clearing. The stones which my friend Sasha has been sat on are stained with blood, and he appears a little singed. And then there's like this blip, kind of like there's a fire, and then there's like this flash, and a woman appears in front of me and has fangs.
Oh.
Yeah, and Sasha holds this person down, but she's really, really strong, and he's struggling a bit, and pulls out a stake, and I'm like, yo, is killing the only way? Oh, I also cast Moonbeam on her because she tried to attack me. And like I hurt her a bit, and then that's how Sasha gets this vampire, this person down. And it's like, kill or be killed. I'm like, huh, living sounds good, so I help hold the vampire, the person down, plus they get staked, and then they turn to ash, like they rot away, and then Sasha turns into ash. And unfortunately, fortunately, I get called something called Nosferatu. Vampire hunter.
Yes.
And I get told how to kill them. Wood, silver, werewolf emblem, or godly radiance. We have access to all of these. Bad news, guys. I didn't see the second vampire and I got bit. And I went.
Shit.
And what do you wake up with?
It's fine, guys.
What?
Lorena's
Well,
turned into a vampire.
I may not have been bitten by a vampire.
When you woke up, you got the bite marks?
Yes.
Shit.
Oh.
You're a cleric, Swell.
Hang on. Can I say the worst bit? My perception roll for this was so high.
Oh.
I'm gonna find it real quick. I rolled an unnatural 20 and it still wasn't enough.
Oh no.
Uh,
I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure everything's gonna be all okay.
Do you want to know bad news, guys? I've just prepared my spells and didn't prepare, remove, curse.
And then at the end of this conversation, I then just put a picture of Matt Mercer just looking evil.
Yeah.
Can you check my profile? Do I have remove curse?
Well, there's little pros of being a vampire.
They're evil.
Not
And
true. Not all
Charles
of it.
Cleric.
No,
Really?
the vampires have to be, unless it's different in 5e, but I know that vampires have to be bad, I thought.
You're
Can be
special.
played on the edge line.
Charlotte, how much do you love me?
Why?
Because I have remove curse.
Oh, I mean, it depends if I'm gonna turn, first of all, but yeah, I love you.
Do you want me to cast remove curse on you?
I want to investigate this a little bit first, let's not be tasty.
Okay. Well, can I have a safe word or a code word? So if you say it, I know to cast remove curse on you.
Just go
yeah.
for like when he bites one of
It's,
us.
can you cast remove curse on me? That's the safe word.
I take it. So you hyphenate effectively.
There.
Yeah.
Jordan, cast remove curse now.
Is there like a communal bit to like sleeping?
It's really up to you. Basically, for the non-elves, you need 6 hours of sleep in order for you to get your long rest perks. For Morella, that's obviously more flexible. But as long as whatever your communal activity is, that it doesn't take up more than 2 hours, then you'll get your long rest.
What about everyone else? Everyone else gets 8, didn't they?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
As long as your activity doesn't take more than 2 hours, then you're fine. If it takes more than 2 hours, then you'll need to start your long rest again.
Calm down, Aya. There's only so many things.
Because I'd like to tell the gang in private that about the bite marks.
And is there anything in private that Kashan would like to say to the group as well?
What?
He might certainly mention that the last time that we met the Inquisition, they mentioned that there was a traitor in the ranks of the Alphas.
So, Sean, what did you do?
I didn't do nothing. It was the mind guy.
Apparently it was
Spoke in my head.
Danny.
I got sent a message. I tried asking if they knew who. The only reply was that the Inquisition will find them.
I'm not writing this down. I feel like I should be writing this down.
Yeah, they basically congratulated.
The message that I got sent was, you played your part well. There's a traitor in your ranks. The Inquisition will find them.
How much of a bet is Docker?
I don't know what I played. I don't know what I played our part in. The question that I sent back was, played our part in what? And do you mean a traitor to the Alphas?
At which you didn't get any response.
Yes.
So it could be they're talking about Scott and Padwin, or they could be talking about Docker with a demon in his head.
Or I've just been bitten by a vampire.
Or they could be talking about you and your vampire, right?
Yeah, so
But this was before you'd been bitten. So
Or they could just be talking about Baron
Maybe
and
they
he's
know.
a traitor to the Alphas and
In
works for
advance.
them.
I don't know. What do we know
if
about
they
the
were-
Inquisition?
If they
The
were all
only two that
seen,
don't
they would
have
be
a
all
traitor is
having
Traitor,
done
me
that.
and Onyx.
What?
I said we're the only two that don't have any sort of traitorous reason to be traitors to anyone.
Why would that be a traitor?
Because you're getting secret messages from the Inquisition.
Oh, yeah. You know, fair enough. They did also say I played my part well. I don't
Exactly.
know what part yet, but maybe it is me.
Panic.
and then Morella's just like, oh well, that's way more important than my vampire fight, so don't worry.
With the same nonchalance that Charlotte has about the vampire fight, I'm just going to be like, we'll deal with it when it comes to it.
I don't have to. Wait. I have an idea.
For your thing or mine?
For us. Hang on.
For everyone?
Let me scroll for my spells real quick.
Okay.
Where is it? What level spell is it? Is it second? Ah, it is. I could cast Zone of Truth on us.
And
what
maybe
if
still
we
reveal
don't
who's a
know
traitor.
Oh,
What if
it
we don't
only
know
affects
the
one
traitor?
person. And no, it only affects one person. Who do we think is the most suspicious person? And I can cast Zone of Truth on them. And then we can find out.
I don't
know
know
what.
yet.
Someone's a traitor, apparently.
The thing is, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's somebody within our group. It could be somebody with Katie's group.
Within our ranks, though.
Yeah, but there's multiple alphas.
But it could
It
have
could
been the
be-
ranks of the
It could be the
other
alphas
people.
that are here, like in New Asgard, that aren't at the feast because of the stuff that happened to the village. They were in the ranks of the alphas.
Or does it mean just in general of who we are with? Maybe it's one of the heroes, or someone at the...
you thought.
No, this is the sort of conversation that you guys need to have. So,
Matt's got that evil grin on his face and he's secretly laughing at it.
Okay, hang on. Let's
I want to
think.
keep it.
Let's
I trust the people that are in our group, and I'd like to keep it in between our group.
Maybe we should just do Zone of Truth just to make sure, because Barracus was really sus then.
What?
Okay,
I just
hang on.
entered.
Exactly, you just entered the group.
Let's make a list, aka in Lottie's notes, of who we think is sus.
Barracus is sus,
Us?
because he's new.
The whole of the alphas,
okay, so
Eric and his family.
yeah, so there's basically you guys, like the alpha captains. Yeah, so like Scott, Jason, Jen, that lot. Then there's Katie's alphas, and then there's the alphas of New Asagarth, and then Onyx. You are also aware of alphas elsewhere throughout the world, but because you were an alpha before joining the group, that's the main reason why you came. But you don't have any sort of specific details.
Yeah. Okay, going off the basis of fact of what we have just encountered. Last night at a very nice party, Anna comes in with people who we have fought before many times. Maybe someone within these ranks, like the part of the family, someone that we were with last night. Maybe it's the wit mage. You know, we killed their sister. Maybe it's...
The message that came through, I think they mean that there's a traitor in the alphas themselves. So, not necessarily, like, the party that we're with, I trust Scott and George. Jason, perhaps? Stick's always been a little bit weird, but I don't see him as a traitor.
Maybe it's Frank.
Oh,
So
indeed.
Frank then appears behind you and is like, you called? It seems like a very secretive meeting. Shall I get the dildos out?
No.
No. Are you a spy, Frank?
No, but I can be very sneaky.
Oh, go be sneaky and go find a spy.
And what shall I do with them once I found them? I have a long list of things I could do.
Spy on them?
Okay, I'll go peek. He disappears. and then he disappears.
You're not having more juice. You've got 3 bottles of juice on your lap.
Okay, so you've established that you trust Scott. What was your opinion, Jason?
I mean, I personally, like, I trust Scott, I trust Jason.
You say that very hesitantly.
Jason was the only one who didn't jump up with a weapon in the party we just had. That's, I think, what he's trying to say.
That's, yeah, like, up until that point. I also have always, like, I appreciate George, but I've also always been wary of him.
He's a strong but silent type, yeah?
Like, he's always there, but, like,
He's there but not there.
you know. So, but I don't know, I think it might be more foreboding to the, like, maybe the group that currently isn't here, that is from Rassigard. Like they said, there was the whole thing about the village being leveled, kind of thing. I don't know. We should discuss this as a group.
Onyx,
Hello.
what about your idea that I can totally just mind read and Daphne, but not what you DM'd me about?
Oh. Say hello.
I'm actually in your room watching you. No, look behind.
Hello.
I'm on your bed full of teddies.
As am I, darling. As am I.
Oh please. Oh,
Okay, Onyx might have a really dumb idea, but I think it might work.
Okay.
crazy idea. Very stupid idea also. I have all 3 wishes, and I don't know what else I would use it on. So I could use a wish to be like, find that traitor. Obviously I would say more specific details of
no,
bits and pieces.
That feels so risky.
It is, but if they were like if the repercussion is that like our positions are swapped, I can fight. It'll be fine. I'll find you guys. That's what I'm here for. I'm a ranger. I'll find you. It's fine. So,
Well, before you proceed with that, can I get an Arcana check?
Careful.
oh no.
Careful.
I mean, you could.
Arcana or history, whichever is higher for you.
Oh no. Let me see my stats. So Arcana, okay, okay, they're both the same. Positive, just about.
Guidance.
That was
Ooh.
stupid, wasn't it?
I will. You get a D4 to ability check.
Yay. Which one's gonna shoot the nicest?
That one.
Okay, I'm hoping that it doesn't betray me now. It betrayed me.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. Okay, so in total, that is 10. With guidance.
Well, if anybody wants to help her with this.
I am
I'm
the
gonna
big
take
stupid.
pity on Onyx.
Huh?
What was
I'm
the,
gonna take pity on
what was
Onyx
the-
and share my Arcana with you.
Arcana or history, whichever is highest.
Arcana is my highest.
They're both the same.
I get a +9 to Arcana, so.
Oh my god. Okay.
So Tordum has basically sort of picked up on what Onyx is trying to work out, and the wording of the wish is very important. So if you just simply said, find the traitor, he might just go off and just find...
A traitor
Yeah,
for
just-
some conspiracy,
just
not necessarily our conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'd need the exact details of like the dream and stuff like that again.
Find the traitors of the current traitor of the alphas.
Yes.
The more specific as possible.
We just have to hope that we've guessed it is a traitor to the alphas correctly.
Like, yeah, that's the thing. We need to work out if it's a traitor within the alphas or somebody who.
I suppose we could just tell him to go find a traitor of the alphas, and if he comes back with nobody, then technically there is no traitor in the alphas. We know we're right, and then technically I suppose we could try and persuade Frank that it didn't use up a wish.
That's a shout.
Okay.
DM block your ears to that
Boy.
moment.
All right. I'm on board for this. But can we potentially do it like next time? I'm tired.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry, I'm not gonna do this.
Okay.
Well, I think that's going to take more brain capacity than anyone's got tonight.
Yeah, like.
Oh.
Yeah, so let's call it there, and you can sort of coordinate with each other as to what your plan is. So for organising this wish with Frank, and then but we can reconvene next Monday.
Nice.
And I will only be here till about 9 o'clock next
I know.
Monday.
So, all right. So yeah, we'll pencil in next Monday. But however, it might be a bit up in the air because but that's our anniversary. So if we decide that we just can't be asked and want to but just watch a romantic movie or something like that, then
No, that's
Keep the romantic
completely
movies to
fair.
yourself.
Yeah,
Watch Chick flicks on
that's
your own.
fine. Absolutely.
Watch chick flicks on your own time. Thank you very much.
I do. It's called work, right? So, so we'll just do like we normally do and just reconvene over the weekend about this and figure out what we're doing.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
No worries.
great. I will catch everybody in a little bit then.
All right then.
Yeah.
Thank you for the session.
Thank
So-
you. This was good.
That's no worries. Are you finally glad to get it off your chest, Rayla?
I'm sure it's fine, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure the trail thing's fine too.
You can
Yeah,
guarantee
exactly.
it's going to make you roll for it every session.
What if it is me?
Oh god.
That would be interesting for Frank to bring Kashan.
Alright. What if it's all of us?
That would be really fun. And confusing.
What if, oh, guys, I've got so, right, no, I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
No, man, that was...
Yeah, don't give Matt any more ideas.
No, please give me
yeah,
ideas.
no.
Right, let's go, guys. Roll out.
That's fine.